Before going into how the trace look like, I want to mention quickly some technical details about the neural net. For those of you that are neural net nerds or they like machine learning or AI, for like if you're new to the world. So one technical detail, the neural net is not a LLM, it's not a large language model. So it has nothing to do with ChatGPT. It doesn't use any of the transformer techniques that are used for things like ChatGPT or Gemini. Uh, why not? Because the market doesn't lend itself to that, in particular because that's not the problem I try to resolve. So the neural net for ultra constant stable is kind of a cousin of ChatGPT. It's a neural net that belongs to the same family, but it's a completely different one. No, it uses different techniques. It's not using a transformer. It's not using any kind of a statistical prediction of a likely token after some current tokens. No, it is a very different beast. So that's with that out of the way, it shares lots of interesting things in common with something like large language models. Like you have to train the net with a corpus of data. Now, for LLMs, the corpus is just pretty much written words. Words of books or words of technical articles or Wikipedia or anything that these guys can steal from the internet. But in my case, I didn't steal the data. I paid for the data. Now we have historical data. There's plenty of historical data, and there is plenty of data providers out there that are more than happy to sell you the data. And so Ultron Constant Stable is trained from that data. And I wanted to mention this because I want to provide some context of how the net is trained. The net is trained with data. I have data going all the way back to 1952. No, uh, and in fact, I have data sets that go to the early 1900s. But the net is not trained with that data. Of course not. Why not? Because first, for instance, there were no options around those years. No options were, at least publicly traded options were introduced in the late 70s. And second, because I don't believe that modern markets share many things in common with the markets in the 1900s. Now, first, the S&P 500 didn't exist at all at the time. No, it's a recent invention. In fact, in the 50s, we have kind of a cousin. No? In 1952, we have like S&P 100. No? But in any case, I choose a very specific period. The net is trained with data from 2016 to 2024. And so you will notice that it's not that such a long period. It's only 8 years of data on that period. But I will say that for the purposes of the trading we do, those 8 years are more than enough. I guess if you have a really good memory, you have been trading at least for the last 8 years. You know that markets in 2016 and 2024 have undergone tons of regimes. Now we have a massive bull run in early 2017. Then we have a COVID crash, and we have had volatile years, and we have had a little short bearish market, but it was bearish, no? So in back in 2022. So it is a period that covers interesting action that is more than enough for the nets, for this neural net to deduct something about volatility in that period. I could have, in fact, an early version of this system went all the way back to 2008 to include the financial crisis crash. But the financial crisis crash was very different, and the net, I mean, it really doesn't benefit the net because around that time the market was very different than what it is right now. So I wanted to preserve a little semblance of modern market in the training data set, and at the same time I wanted to have a long enough period for the system to be able to come up with some kind of generalization of the volatility forecasting process of how the probabilistic distribution is computed. And I think that I hit a sweet spot. No, it is a sweet spot there. So I wanted to mention that. And also I wanted to mention that the net was trained with data until June of 2024. So, and this video is being recorded in November 2025. So that was the cutoff for the training. And the reason I did that is because, and when I did that, it was early 2025. It was back in January 2025 when the net was created. So the net has not been around long. No, it's something I want to mention. This net was created in 2025, but it used data only until June of 2024. So I wanted to have a period of data like the last part of 2024 and the first part of 2025, where the system was completely oblivious to that data. They didn't know that the data existed. One way to avoid overfitting of the data. So that was the technique. Those are kind of the technical parameters of the net. What else is there for me to say about the net? The net uh, only does predictions every day. No, it doesn't do real-time predictions. It's not like you can come up at 1 p.m. in the afternoon and look for predictions for 4. Now, the predictions are valid only from market close today to market close tomorrow. That's it. That's how the net was trained. That's basically due to the granularity of the data I use. And also it was because I like that kind of trading. I like 1 day trading. And we are lucky, daily options in the S&P 500 are a recent invention. They were introduced pretty much in March 2020. So they are kind of recent in a sense. So I like that. I like that that the system is 1 day, and that we are lucky to live in a time where daily options are offered. Okay, with that out of the way, now we can move into how the trades look like, and I hope to have a graph in this area right here. uh, the system, because it has a distribution with two tails, the left tail and the right tail. No, it has two different tails, and we have individual buy and sells for each tail. So you can do the math really quickly in your head, and you come up with 4 different trades. So the system has 4 different trades, and and the system, those trades are expressed with vertical spreads in the S&P 500. So we use options, but we use spreads. We use vertical spreads. Why vertical spreads? Because any broker offers them. So they are an abundant product. They are a product that is not esoteric. They are very easy to get, and no matter what broker you use, is offered by them. And in fact, all of the uh, computer software from those brokers work with the spreads. It's very easy to to set up the orders in your own software. Even if it's the mobile version or the desktop version or the web version, you can always do vertical spreads. And vertical spreads are used because it is my poor man's way of expressing a binary opinion. Okay, so a vertical call spread or a vertical put spread, if you do it tight enough, like the width of the spread approaches 0, it becomes a binary option. Now, of course, the width of the spread is never 0. In the case of the S&P 500 options, in the case of SPX options, the smallest width is 5. But the market is as almost 7,000. So 5 points out of 7,000 is a very small interval. No, so for practical purposes, it's close enough to a vertical spread. So the system, to a binary option, sorry. So the system, in a sense, requires some binary replication. And the reason I require a binary replication is because I want a pure as abstract bet on, is the market going to break the tail or not? No, is the market going to be outside the tail or inside? And then you have the two tails. It defines if is the market going to stay inside the interval or outside the interval or any combination. So as you can see, because we have two tails and we can be buying or selling it, we have 4 different trades. The easiest type of trades is just when the signals are the same. So let's imagine for some time, that for a moment, that uh, the system come up with buying. So it told me to buy the left tail and buy the right tail. So in that case, the trade is just a iron condor. Now, it basically just reduces to an iron condor, which is a very familiar trade. For those of you that are familiar with options and with the spreads, the iron condors are a 4-legged type of trade that is very common. So yes, the system can produce a long iron condor when it suggests you buy both spreads. So in that case, the trade will make money if the market moves outside the 60% confidence interval. So if the market closes above or below the strikes, the right tail and the left tail strikes, then you make money. We make money. No? So that's one trade, one of the four. The other one is you get two sales. No, so invest um, instead of buying the tails, the system is telling us to sell the tails. So it is still an iron condor, just that we are selling it. No, so we get a credit for it. I don't. I in my room I use the term long iron condor and short iron condor, but that term itself is a little confusing because brokers, for weird historical reasons, some brokers assign the opposite meaning to the iron condor. So brokers think that selling the tails means buying and a long iron condor and vice versa. No. So to avoid confusion is when we sell the tails, we take a credit and we are betting that the market will finish inside the 60% interval. No, so that's pretty simple. Whenever the system signals sales on both tails, well, it's still an iron condor. We are short the iron condor. We receive a credit, and we get to keep the credit if the market finishes inside the interval. So far, those two are very common. You should be familiar. Now, what happens when is it has different signals, and that has been happening this week. For instance, this week the system made tons of money with signals that it was suggesting to sell the put spread and buy the call spread. So in a sense, the system was bullish, no, because selling the put spread is basically betting the market will go up, and buying the call spread is also betting that the market will go up. So I call those type of trades, and this is a non-standard terminology, but to me it's like a long binary risk reversal. No, so if you sell the put spread, which is selling the left tail, and you buy the call spread, which is buying the right tail, we have a long binary risk reversal. I just baptize it as long binary risk reversal. I don't think it's in the books, but I mean, it could be seen like that if we think that vertical spreads approach a binary option. So in that case, the trade is not as simple, and I hope to have a graph here that illustrates the trade. The trade has three different regions now. It has a region where it loses money. It has a neutral region where it makes very little or loses very little money, and it has a winning region where it makes tons of money. So I like these reversals because they are still even money type of trades. You are risking $1 to make a dollar, but they have three different regions. No? So those are very powerful. And I think to me, most of the profits from ultra constant stable come from those kind of trades when we just sell the left tail and you buy the right tail. In fact, if you look at data sets from the market on your own, if you inspect the intervals, you will notice that it is pretty much the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is something that you can do with your eyes closed. You don't need a neural net. You don't know machine learning. You don't need artificial intelligence. Just blindly do this kind of long risk reversals, binary long risk reversals, and they will make money. And they will make good money. It's just that it has extra risk and the drawdowns are big, but it works. So that's the null hypothesis. And the opposite trade, sell the call spread. So sell the right tail and buy the put spread. So it means buy the left tail. So both positions are bearish. No? So in a sense, your position is a bearish type of trade where uh, it also has three different, right here, I hope it comes up. You still have three different area sections for the trade, and you make money. If the market closes below the strikes, you make tons of money. There is a neutral zone where you will make a little bit or lose a little bit, depending if you get a credit for it or if you get a debit for it. And I'll talk about a little bit more about that. And then you have a section where as area where you lose money, but it's still an even money type of trade, even though it has three different regions for profit and losses. And that's the system. The system just generates these signals, and the only thing you have to do is every day before the market, before SPX options stop trading, which is very important. The cutoff time for SPX options is 4:15 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, very important. 4:15. It's not 4 p.m. The equity markets closes at 4 p.m., but the index options keep trading until 4:15. So we usually enter the trade around 4:12 or 4:13, 4:14, just before they close, just a minute or two before 4:15 p.m. we enter the trade. And also very important, the system is meant to be play all or nothing. We enter the trade and that's it. The next day, we either make money or we lose money. And we don't care. We don't have stops because the system has defined risk. No, it's not that the trades are open to infinite risk. No, the trades are risking. If it's a long iron condor, you are risking the debit paid. And if it's a short iron condor, you are risking the width of the spread minus the credit received, which is only like $3. And if it's a long risk reversal or short risk reversal, you're also risking the width of the spread. No, so the risk is defined. So that's why we let it run until the next day, and we don't care. We don't do stops or close or anything. Now you should be wondering, why would you let these things expire? Is because if you have traded stock options, you know that letting options expire has all these settlement requirements and it's so cumbersome. But the beauty of SPX options is that they are cash settled. So at expiration time, you get cold hard cash. That's it. There are no shares. No, it's an index. No, there isn't. There are no shares to settle. You don't have to locate them. You are not sure anything or long anything. You just get cash. Now, if you make money, they'll deposit the cash into your account. If you lose money, well, that's it. No, you already spent it. No, you already spent the debit for it, so you already lost it. No, you didn't recover it. So in that sense, SPX options are fantastic because they are cash settled. The other good thing about SPX options is that they are European options. And because of that, even if something happens within the market, like gigantic moves, and you have a leg that is deep in the money, and you will never get a sign because in European options, you cannot do anything with them after before they expire. You have to wait after they expire to get a sign. So in that sense, it's fantastic as well. The position will never be broken by anyone because those are European options. No? So nothing can be done to your position during the day, independent of what the market did. And that combined with defined risk is fantastic. And not only they have defined risks, they also have defined profits. So we know from the moment we enter the trade today, we know exactly how much money we could potentially make tomorrow or how much money we could lose tomorrow. So that is known in advance. There will never be surprises on the trade. And that's kind of that aspect that I wanted to talk so far. Well, and with that, I think I covered most of the information. As usual, I just wanted to do like a 10-minute video, and I have more than like 40 minutes right now of material recorded. I'll try to do some kind of heavy editing and try to either reduce this into like 15 minutes, or I could just split it into many of them. But I guess it's a good excuse as any to return to YouTube. I hope that I could come up with more videos. Probably, I wish I could do some kind of daily video about volatility and try to come up with that and do it every day. We'll see. I always say the same, but I'm so busy that I don't have the time. But that's kind of one of my wishes. And the other thing I wanted to do is just provide some uh, videographical material because I know some of you are more graphical oriented. Now you like to see videos as opposed to read. Anyway, so I thank you for your patience. I really appreciate you guys staying with me until the end. If you managed to stay until the very end, I hope you enjoy the ultra constant stable system. It is provided in the Gamma Optimizer room. The room offers a 2-week free trial if you want to test it and see how it works. You can join it. It doesn't cost, it doesn't ask for any credit cards or anything. You just join the room and we can talk and ask questions and answer them. And you can give the system a spin. And the only requirements is that you need a brokerage account, of course, and that you need to be able to trade vertical spreads in the S&P 500. Again, thank you very much for this video, and I'll see you guys soon, hopefully. Take care, everyone.